How's that for getting the elephant out of the room?
Welcome back, Psych fans, to another adventure deep diving into the psyche. We are following up and continuing our discussion on basically what turned into neurodivergency 101, because let's be honest, that's really a reason why a lot of neurodivergents are sad, is our brain just doesn't work like everybody else. So we want to learn more about how our brain works and how we can support ourselves in a world that always isn't always what would make sense for it to be, but we do our best. So I'm Allison Fabricius, and I am the multiply diagnosed neurodivergent in the room, or the closet, as the case may be. And I am here with my co-host.
Hey, Psych fan, Spence Kohler here. Excited to be a part of today's discussion, even though, from what I hear, it's going to be pretty sad. How's that for getting the elephant out of the room?
Okay, so now I feel like we need to pause it and we need to start all over again.
Really?
And it needs to be like some like hyped up, like, what?
Yeah. Do you want to take
Oh.
two? We can take two.
No, we're just they get us in all of our raw, unfiltered
Right?
glory. I mean, I edit some
Oh,
things, but this is kind of who we are, and there's going to be awesome days, and there's
roll
going to
it.
be less some awesome days, and there will be a combination of things. I think
Yes.
that we will reach some happy, positive things as well. But
Hmm.
I had a killer conversation today with a
Ooh,
friend of mine. We're just going to dive right in,
I'll
and
go
if
for
you
it.
want to like redirect us back to where we ended then last week, people were talking about neurodivergency, and apparently it kind of depresses me a little bit. So
Mm.
here we are. Now, if you visited us in our previous episode, you'll see why.
Hmm.
Not that it's inherently depressing, but our brains just work a bit differently. And sometimes that can get a little overwhelming and a little very confusing and frustrated.
Hmm.
And so I'm kind of in that place today because from a very unexpected source. I talked to a coworker today and we were chatting, and I found out that another coworker has been going into meetings and lying about what they've been doing.
Mm.
And those lies are infecting a number of people. And because we were trusting this individual to represent what they've been doing, we've let it ride. And now that
Mm.
I know that it's not, and I've already had some run ins with this individual and it has not gone well, my partner's like, why don't you just talk to this person? And I'm like, I've done that. I've now lost 4 projects that I owned before that conversation.
Oh, isn't I mean, that's easier said than done, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I think one of the things to point out here too is yeah, oftentimes in therapy and stuff, we'll get directed to be direct with another individual. But the other individual is probably not in a place or even sometimes capable of having that type of conversation back. And therefore it doesn't go over as well as we would hope or like, and sometimes can create an even bigger problem. So sorry, I just had to throw in that little bit of
No,
tidbit there
I
because
I appreciate that because
yeah.
my thought process my entire life has been if I could communicate better, I would just get along with people.
Hmm.
Like it was always this idea that if I could just communicate better, then if I was better, the situation would be better.
Hmm.
And the more healing that I've done and the more that I'm brave and try and stand up for myself and do all of these things and face conflict and just try and present myself better, the more that I realize not everyone wants to meet me there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true.
And the piece that I kind of want to bring forward in this that I don't often think of as a neurodivergent thing, but the more that I'm around, the more I realize it is I have a very refined sense of justice.
Mm, yeah.
I want things to be fair.
Hmm.
I want things to be just. Like if I see injustice, if I see unfairness, I want to fix it. And I want to go straight to that person and be as blunt as I need to be and say, fix it.
Hmm.
Or I'm in a meeting and something comes up and I call it for what it is because I was like, no, actually, now is not the time for this discussion. The time for this discussion was 9 months ago when we started the discussion.
Hmm.
Decisions have been made. We're acting now. That's not the smartest thing to do in a mixed group of people. But bluntness is also part of neurodivergence. Well, my specific cocktail of autism and ADHD, be blunt. Things will
Hmm.
go faster. As you are very well aware, Spencer, that has gotten me into trouble at a university level before.
Yeah, but
Sometimes bluntness.
it also created movement too. So
It did. There are trade-offs. Sorry, I walked right over you. You were about to say something.
no, you're good. It creates some good movement. I think one of the things that came to mind for me too is sometimes we want to charge in, right? We want to have this conversation with every intention that the other person is going to come at it with the same logic, with the same understanding, and go, oh, yeah, now that you put those pieces of the puzzle together, it totally makes sense to me. And yes, you are right. And yes, we should go for it. And it doesn't mean you always have to be right. Um, but when we're neurodivergent, yes, things kind of seem to uh, come together in a very logical way and make sense, and it either does or does not make sense, and that's really an incredible thing. The other thing too is I've seen some other people online who have tried to describe this, and for neurodivergence, when that desire pops up in order to have these conversations, it's like you want to cut to the chase, right? And that's kind of what you said. I mean, if we have these open conversations, we can cut to the chase. We can cut out so much of the muck and the mire and everything if we would just, have it out in words. But what's interesting about a lot of this that happens, and this can be frustrating for those who have neurodivergence, is that sometimes there's a lot of people that just talk back and forth, and they're just talking shop, or they're talking business, or they're talking, and it's almost like for neurodivergence you kind of sit back and go, I don't understand this, it doesn't make sense, right? It what are you people saying? Just cut to the chase. This is this, and this goes this direction, and this happens this way. Um, but yet there's a lot of other people. There's CEOs and there's presidents of companies, and there's all these different people that talk around and over and through and under and all these different things. And you're like, no, just be direct, say what you mean,
Hmm.
and it'll all come together, right? And so the people that I've watched online, they say it's people pretending, and in a
Hmm.
way it is, because I mean, as somebody who's a little bit more neurotypical, yeah, we sit back and talk a good talk and walk a good walk and everything like that, and we think it's all well, great, and wonderful. But to a neurodivergent, it's not. None of that makes sense. It's just a whole lot of not necessarily white noise, but it's difficult to come together because it's not direct, it's not to
Hmm.
the point, and it's not valid or
It doesn't
pertinent
feel,
information.
yeah, it doesn't feel valid or pertinent to the situation at
Yeah.
all. Now, for me, I understand what people are doing. Like I can watch it and go, okay. And I saw someone she has autism and she's also an advocate for individuals with autism.
Uh-huh.
And she said, I never understood small talk. She's like,
Hmm.
and it took me forever to understand small talk. That
Yeah.
when two people are saying, "Oh, what did you do over the weekend?" or "Are you enjoying the weather?" It's two people basically saying, I'm a nice person and I have nice intentions and I think you're a nice person. So I want to have this exchange showing you that I'm a nice person and I think you're a nice person
Hmm.
before I get to the actual request that I have
Yep.
or behind the intent. And maybe the intent is an ask or a request, or maybe the intent is you're just building rapport. But
Hmm.
there's sort of an exchange in that small talk. And so that part, I love that description of it because I can do small talk with people I like. Okay, I can do small talk with anyone.
Hmm.
Um, but but there are times when there is a need. I don't want to do small talk.
Hmm.
I and I come off very brusque. And I'm aware that I do
Hmm.
because I just want to go up to someone and I want to say, this is a thing that needs to get done. What are we going to do about it?
Yep.
Or I just want to go to someone and be like, this is a problem. Let's fix it.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't want to observe the social niceties. I honestly just don't think about it
Hmm.
because the task at hand is the part that I care about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like this is the problem we are trying to solve. So instead of taking 45 minutes of a meeting all unruffling feathers and supporting everyone and encouraging
Hmm.
everyone, you can tell by the tone of my voice.
Like, nope, not having it.
Nope, mm-mm. Or we can just put forth what the problem is and let's
Yeah.
talk solutions.
Hmm.
And for me, I also understand. I've seen another YouTuber um describe it really well, where he's like, it's not that I need to be right, it's just I need it to be right.
Hmm.
And I love that description and I love the idea. I don't need to be right, but if I hear something that's inaccurate, I'm going to provide additional information. Not because I need to be the one that's right. It's I want the conclusion we come to be accurate and to
Right.
be good for the most amount of people.
Yeah.
And so if I'm not offering corrections, I feel like the solution is not going to be the best it could be. And I don't want things to be misrepresented.
Hmm.
And that is me coming from a the world is black and white
Yeah.
scenario.
Yeah.
When I'm talking to other people, though, and I also see world in a rainbow of color, but when I see
Hmm.
a problem and I want a solution, it becomes very much we want the best solution for the most amount of people that is the most efficient thing. That's the world that I operate from.
Hmm.
And I want those results to be as immediate as possible. I also can plan for a long game, but I don't always pause and define my terms.
Yeah.
So, because I don't do small talk and I don't always define my terms, and the other individual might not be coming with that same motive
Hmm.
or desire or outcome, and we do not define our terms, it
Mm.
is very easy to get to a place where we think we agree and we do two very different things.
Hmm.
And also when I just run into people who have different values than I do. And that's just such a foreign concept to me because I'm like, how does everyone not value efficiency and the greatest amount of good for the most amount of people while also balancing individual needs and
Hmm.
accommodation? And so I see injustice, I see people misrepresenting information, and I take it very personally
Yeah.
because I was like, that's not how you're supposed to operate.
Hmm. And sometimes don't you even sit there and go, how do you people get anything done?
Oh, yes.
Because it's so hard to wrap the mind around those pleasantries. Another thing, and this is totally a side note, we're not going to go too far into it, but I just want to, for our listeners, uh, bring up another point of reference. Flirting is also a very difficult thing for people with neurodivergence, right? Because there again, it's pleasantries. It's like instead of flirting to get to know somebody, it's like, hey, do you like me? We should go on a date. It's like I don't have time to mess around with the pleasantries. It's like let's just cut to the chase and say what we want to say and mean what we want to mean, right?
I can't flirt. Apparently, I
Yeah.
still think that I flirt just fine, but
Right.
I'm with my second long-term partner now.
Uh-huh.
Um, and both of them assure me multiple times when I'm watching a movie or I see something like they were totally flirting.
Hmm.
And they look at me and they're like, they were being nice. Like, unless it is outright innuendo, I cannot read flirting. Like, and I try to flirt. And
Hmm.
generally, I only flirt with people who've become my partners. And
Right.
we generally have a I like you like me. Great, let's do this. Because innuendo, nuance.
Hmm.
Like, I understand nuance of thought, but nuance of flirt does not make sense to me. And the amount of times, like, oh, they were totally flirting with you. And they look at me and they're like,
You're like,
what in the
wait,
heck
what?
are you talking about? Or I was like, I was flirting. And they're like, you were? And I was like, I'm so bad at it. So my relationships have genuinely involved, I like you, you like me. Great, let's do something about this.
Let's cut to the chase. Let's just call it what it is. Yeah, and I think that, and like I said, I don't want to go too far down that road, but it is something to pick up because there again, it's another element of pleasantries that maybe neurodivergent people may sit back and say, "Oh, yeah, I don't do that very well, or I can't do that," or people have made comments, and that's something that can help you be able to pinpoint this for yourself if there is some neurodivergence there, because it makes a huge difference. The other thing is the fairness that you talked about. um, other people will dance around, different subjects and topics and different things like that, and never get to the root of the injustice, right? That needs to be solved. They would much rather either gloss over it or dance around it or all these different things in some of these conversations, but then they never come right out and they never fix it and they never say exactly what it is and what needs to be fixed and call it like it is, call out who's doing it, and this is what needs to happen. I mean, all of that needs to be done, in order for things to move forward, but we don't do that, especially when we're dealing with pleasantries and different things like that. And so then you'll have a boss come to you and say, you know what, just don't worry about it. Just walk away or just go the other direction. Or yeah, we talked about it. It's all settled. And you're like, no, we didn't. We didn't hit on it. There wasn't the right things brought up. And that's what's hard about this process, and the difference between neurodivergence, in their conversating is stuff. It's very, very clear, right? It's
Mhm.
very clear what the injustice is. But other people will dance around it, talk around it, gloss over all these different things to where you're like, all right, what's the point? Why am I fighting for this?
Mhm.
A company has policies, a company has procedures, an organization, your home has rules and laws, all these different things. What's the point if we're just going to gloss over it at the end of the day?
Well, and we brought this up in the previous episode, and I want to revisit it a little bit in this context. At this point, we've also, especially, what am I trying to say? Pause. At this point in our lives, we've also experienced probably around 20,000 microaggressions, which has also turned us into people pleasers.
Hmm.
So if we're not just having been overtaken by a swell of directness,
Yeah.
we're also probably stewing in our
Uh,
own minds, going, can I even bring this up? Can I
yeah.
even say anything? What are they going to do? How do I do this so that nobody's mad at me? And how do I
Hmm.
manage this? Because I'm so tired of being rejected. Because rejection sensitivity dysphoria, is it dysphoria?
Hmm.
Or is it, I've heard it a couple different ways. Rejection sensitivity. We're just going to short it to that.
Good. I like it.
That one I know.
Yeah.
But it's that feeling of, if someone does not end their text with an exclamation point,
Hmm.
you're afraid they hate you. If someone comes to you with a minor edit to something, just this minor tweak, you feel like you are the most horrible person in the world.
Right.
Um, or if you get an email from someone because you forgot something, and let's face it, as ADHDers, we forget stuff all the time.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, in the different aspect of my life, I have my day job and then my day job.
Yeah.
In my day job, I'm a website designer. And so someone came out, we laid out the specs, we figured out what we were doing, and then I was also helping her with some social media stuff. And I read the instructions and I went, okay, this is what I need to do. And you post here, and then you leave the link in the first comment, and you tag the person that left the endorsement.
Hmm.
And so, like, I knew that that was the thing and that was a checklist. But one day I was hurry doing it. I got on a phone call. I needed to run. So I just type, and ran for it. And she sent me a message, hey, could you please just remember to do this? Oh, right. And just beating myself up so hardcore because she probably thinks that I'm an imbecile. She probably thinks that I'm incompetent. She probably
Oh.
thinks that I'm just so inconsistent and don't care about
Hmm.
what she's laid out for me. And those are all the thoughts going through my head.
Hmm.
So then imagine my horrid shame when 3 days later I forgot to do it again.
Oh boy.
And now she's handed up the marketing off to someone else because that was never what I was originally contracted to do. I just
Hmm.
did it to help for a while, fill in a gap and things. But like that's what it is. For me,
Hmm.
minor requests, heads up, can we talk are the ultimate bane of existence. I was moving positions around where I work up at the university, and I got a message from someone on Slack that just said, "Can we talk?"
Mm.
I about melted into the floor. I
Yeah,
was like,
right.
"Sure, how soon? When? What are we talking about?"
Ooh.
She's like, "Oh, tomorrow at 2 o'clock." And I was
Oh,
like, I have to sit through this for like 12 hours, 24 hours, however long it was.
yeah.
So I was just sweating bullets, just freaking out of my mind. And I
Hmm.
show up to the meeting, and the meeting was, oh, we figured out how to shift your position around at the library and da 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 da. I
Hmm.
was like, could you not have put that in a Slack? Or could you just said, I want to give you an update about your position. It's good news. Like something. Okay, so all the neurotypicals out there, I plead with you, never, never, ever, 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 ever say the term, can we talk?
Hmm.
That is the fastest way to shut me down and basically every neurodivergent I know. Don't.
Yeah.
Do not
Yeah.
say, hey, even and also don't say we need to have a chat because that sounds even more threatening. So instead say, I'd like to check in really fast about this. When do you have time?
Hmm.
Like, even if you don't want to go into it in the minute, because we neurodivergents are also very specificity oriented. And so you
Hmm.
don't have time in that moment to go into all of the granular details. But give us something, give us a subject line. Tell us what you want from us so that
Hmm.
we can go in knowing, okay, this isn't a big deal. We'll still freak out, by the way, in case you're
Yeah.
wondering. There will still be freak out. But just give us a heads up. Because if she had said, hey, I wanted to give you up an update about this position, we just want to go over some specifics. That would have been so much more relieving
Hmm.
than the hell that I went through that 24-hour period. So it's like everything just feels so much higher stakes. Everything just feels so much more serious. Please use punctuation. Please, and like happy punctuation.
Hmm.
I almost said emoticons. That
I
puts me
thought
in
you were
the
going to say
night.
emojis. Add a
Well, I
bunch of
was
emojis in there.
I was trying to say emojis, but emoticons came out, and I'm like, oh,
Oh,
we
there you
did
go.
the 90s. Use emoji like, and also remember, like, don't assume that we know we're invited.
Hmm.
Don't assume that we think we're included,
Hmm.
because that's when we feel tolerated. That's when we feel like we are a step away from this friendship ending.
Hmm.
So the more explicit you are, the more specific you are, the less panic and the more in our window of tolerance we will be. So I got a little off track, but the idea is we take criticism and minimal communication very
Hmm.
personally.
Yeah.
And so it can be really hard when we get any sort of correction at all. Correction
Hmm.
is my kryptonite. I can
Hmm.
go from being the most confident straight talker you ever see and so confident in what I'm doing, and I get some hint that I've forgotten something, and I
Ooh.
spiral so
Oh.
fast
Oh.
that I am just the worst. You chuckled, Spencer, when I was like, I'm an imbecile, and you laughed, and I'm like, but that's legitimately what goes on in my head.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't mean to make light of that, but yeah, that's totally what it is. And it's right for neurotypicals. You don't want to approach the situation with and I would even I don't know go so far to say you don't want to set the stage or be overly dramatic in any of that, because that also pulls on some neural pathways that cause a lot
We
of angst.
neurodivergents are dramatic enough for all of us.
Yeah.
There will be there will be drama and there will be melodrama. And I say that with love. I'm not
Hmm.
saying this is an insult. I just know in my own life the amount of like freaked out opera singers that already exist in my head in any given interaction. I
Yep.
don't need any of them.
No, don't need any others. No. And I think another thing too that's helpful, and I've seen some couples, some people at work do some of these things. Um, I there's been people that sometimes will ask me, Okay, am I losing my job? So the first thing is no, this has nothing to do with you keeping or losing your job. Okay, first and foremost. So throw that and that's what happens, right? There's the worst case scenario plays out in the mind, and that's one of the first things that if you know and you're safe as a neurotypical, address it. Get the elephant out of the room and then say, hey, oh, we have some good news. We're restructuring this, and this will help out your job a little bit better, or this will, and that's what really can uh, disarm, alleviate some of those things. And I've had to do that over the course of my relationships. With whoever, work relationships or home relationships, because if you don't put that mind at ease, yeah, they're going to agonize over the
And compliment
whole thing.
sandwiches don't work for,
No,
compliment sandwiches kind
they're
of
not
work.
digested well.
Yeah, but we focus on only the bad thing.
Yeah.
So like have two separate conversations.
Hmm.
Offer assurance, please offer assurance, but
Hmm.
like don't compliment sandwich it because the only thing that I'm gonna hear is about the olive in the middle of my sandwich, not the delicious pickle above it and the fantastic cheese below it. It's just
Oh,
not gonna happen.
now I'm
So
hungry.
should have had that taco salad before
Yeah,
we
right.
something else that I wanted to touch on briefly. And then if you have any questions,
Mm.
I loved our format last time about asking like about the neurodivergent experience.
Oh yeah.
And if there's any positive questions you have to ask, we set the tone slightly negative, but it's not too late to change.
Right? Yep, we can do it.
But one of the things I wanted to talk about that I've really been running into is please also don't assume that if your experience isn't like mine, that you're not a neurodivergent.
Yeah.
And I say that from a variety of perspectives. One from just like we're not diagnosing, we're not saying we can diagnose you, but if you're hearing things that go, that sounds familiar, find a diagnostic tool and
Hmm.
see what you can find out. Um, but also I can't assume that anyone else has ADHD like I do.
Yeah.
I can't. And with all of our trauma and our previous life experience and our cocktail of mental health, our neurodivergency is not going. I very rarely have found someone that is like a blueprint of my experience.
Hmm.
And because my partner also has some of the same cocktail that I do, I struggle that we're still so different. I'm like, we both have OCD. We both have ADHD. There's some hints of autism in there. Like,
Hmm.
there's also some dissociative disorders in there, which I so want to do that episode at some point. I think dissociation. We talked about it in hypoarousal. I'd love to jump into a little bit more, but that's for
Sure.
later.
Yeah.
Um, so we have that same quote unquote mix, but how they're represented in the real world is very, very different. You had mentioned last time, just accept you're going to be late to things. And I had mentioned, like, well, my autism kind of, yes, I'm late. Like, yes, my time management is a little off, but
Hmm.
I try to keep it within 5 minutes. Like, if I'm going to be late, I try really hard to keep it within 5 minutes or have a really good reason why I don't. And we were going to a movie last night, and I was like, can we please be there at 8 o'clock? Can we please be there at 8 o'clock? I really would love an experience where I actually watch some previews before the movie. Can we please be there at 8 o'clock? And at 7:56, they were like, can we go to my house so I can change clothes? And immediately
Oh.
this justice piece came in, which was,
Mm.
well, this is what I said I wanted. Don't you care about me? You're not respecting what I wanted because
Yeah.
that's what that equation is. And why can't you just manage your time better? Because I do, and I have it this too. And it's like, that's not how this works.
Nope.
Like, this is so not how this works. I have a combo of things that means that time isn't as big of a deal for me, but my particularness is through the roof.
Hmm.
And and so we all have different things in different ratios, and epigenetics, like we talked about, will bring out different things that matter more to us or less to us. If you're neurodivergent, you're generally going to be surrounded by other neurodivergents. Don't expect some things are going to be like, yes, I feel so seen. And other things you're going to look at them and go, what are you smoking? So leave space. Leave space to just understand that
Hmm.
we just have different stuff. And
Mm.
making comparisons isn't going to do any good. And I want you to know, Spencer, what you said last week ran through my mind. I was like,
Uh-oh.
do not make this
I'm
about
in
being
trouble.
late to the movie. No, no, it was so good because like we got to the movie as like it had just opened. So
Oh.
I don't know how it just opened. We went to the Hail Mary Project.
Mm-hmm.
So fantastic. I would recommend it to everyone. Absolutely loved it. Um, but it opened and I still don't know how the movie started because I came into it as the scene had already started.
Right.
And as I was sitting down, very much ready to be like, well, don't you love me? Don't you respect me? Da 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 da. I was like, it's actually not any of those things. It's none of those things. It's
Mm-hmm.
I had to work late. I was really uncomfortable. I wanted to be comfy. Other thing of neurodivergency, texture matters.
Oh, yes.
Texture matters so much. And I don't want to be sitting for forever in uncomfortable clothes either.
Mm-hmm.
So there really is, I think, this important understanding that some parts of the brain just have not developed.
Mm-hmm.
For me, they were forced to develop because of life experience. If I did not develop them, I would not have managed in the household I was raised in.
Yeah.
Just period. I had to develop them to function in the world that I lived in. And hers weren't.
Mm.
Like we just had a different life experience. And so her hypervigilance doesn't manifest that way. And so I think it's just so important to understand every one of our lives experience is going to give us a different cocktail of what we're dealing with and what stuff we focus on. So if you only relate to like one of the things we've said, that doesn't mean anything
Mm-hmm.
other than hopefully you feel a little bit more seen and heard than you did before.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree with that. And I think you hit the nail right on the head when you're talking about the whole cocktail of what we have inside of us. All of our experiences are different. Our past is different. What we've gone through is different. And because of some of those things, I always say this saying, no one comes out of childhood unscathed.
Yep.
So with that, yeah, I mean, even though we use the term neurotypical and neurodivergent, we are all made up. And even if you have somebody who's neurotypical, for example, in a relationship, and we all are at some, way, shape, or form or another, whether it's work or home or whatever the case might be, we are in relationships together, and we could be, a neurodivergent who has ADHD. We could be a neurotypical who has ADHD. So there are some cross similarities, but there's also differences to be embraced. And I think you're spot on in being able to piece that together and make that a reality because yeah, everybody is sprinkled with a little bit of difference and subtle nuances that that we need to give a nod to because we're not going to be the same. We're not going to react the same way. So on this, you said you wanted questions. So here's some fun questions that I think are interesting. And
Ooh.
this may not be necessarily where we were headed in this conversation, but I think this will be fun to explore and also helpful for our listeners. So when we're talking about neurodivergence and neurotypical, but in the world of neurodivergence, I think how do I phrase this the right way? Um, we talked about all the different things that we're made up as. Is there, do you feel like your tank, your emotional tank, is emptied very, 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 very quickly? All the time, every day. And that tank is just either you feel like you're constantly running on empty or your tank is being emptied quite abundantly and very, very quickly every single day. Can you tell us more about that? Tell us about what that looks like.
So you're essentially asking a spoons question.
Yeah,
This
right.
this is kind of my favorite way to define uh, capacity. That's not now capacity and capability are two very different things. So I just want to be clear about that. You might have the ability or the capability to do a thing, but not have the capacity to execute on it in the moment.
Love it.
Years ago, I developed this might be a horrible example. See, um, I had the capability to read and translate Latin,
Mm,
and I had the capacity to read and translate Latin.
mhm.
But because time has passed, I've not kept up the study. I'm not actively engaged with it anymore. I no longer have the capacity to read and translate Latin.
Mm-hmm.
For a more specific example, I guess, the capability just means you have the skill set, you have the cognition to do a thing. And then the capacity is the actual motivation and execution to do the
Yeah.
thing. And so for me, I find, and we kind of referenced this a little bit last week, I have the ability to clean large aspects of my house in very quick turnaround time some days. Sunday, I cleaned a kitchen, scrubbed out my toaster oven, like did all of my dishes, organized my closet, and like prepped a bag to donate to DI
Wow.
in an hour. Like that was just and there was no forethought, there was no planning. It was I'm talking to someone on the phone, I have a readily available body double. Y'all, this is happening.
Mm.
Today, I read a book for half the day because there wasn't a lot there.
Mm-hmm.
I had so much decision fatigue from the day before and was wrestling with a lot of shame from the day before because of not meeting my own expectations
Right.
that I didn't have anything. And so this idea of a battery, this idea of spoons. So the idea of spoons is neurotypical person, I'm going to say a well-regulated person. That's how I'm actually going to define it. A well-regulated person has
Mm-hmm.
15 spoons. And to get out of bed and make their bed takes a spoon. Make breakfast, prep lunch, get ready for the day takes 3 spoons. So we have 15 minus 4 at this point. They
Mm.
go to work, and getting to work takes a spoon. Doing their work day because it's work that they know, it's work they're familiar with. Maybe they have to send an email or two. Maybe that takes 4 spoons.
Yeah.
So, but as you go through your day, things just take a consistent amount of spoons every day. And so you just kind of know these tasks are going to take this energy. And at the end of the day, I'm still going to have 2 spoons left so I can read a book or do something fun and then go to bed. For me, as a neurodivergent or a less regulated person consistently, because something about neurodivergency is also emotion
Uh-huh.
control.
Mm-hmm.
Your ability, part of your prefrontal cortex being structured differently, is emotions hit you a lot faster and a lot
Uh,
stronger. And
mm-hmm.
so you tend to be more reactive. So then you also get rejected more often, and it's a fun little dance. Um, so for me, anything that happens in the day before, is carrying me into the day. Like there
Oh.
is no such thing of me as sleeping something off.
Right.
How I go to bed is sort of the energy I wake up with the next morning. Have a weird dream, it's going to
Uh-huh.
take me 7 spoons to get out of bed.
Mm.
Um, had a disagreement or a discussion that I'm feeling really uncertain about and I'm second guessing myself.
Mm-hmm.
Getting ready for the day, I am dwelling on that. The voices in my head are so loud. So my spoons are going to manage my thoughts instead of managing a task.
Huh.
Or my battery, I'm using up energy trying to talk down everything that's going on in my head instead of
Mm-hmm.
doing things.
Mm.
And so for me, I do just as often as not run out of energy because whatever my emotional state is, trying to manage that so it doesn't blow up on somebody else takes the energy instead of the task.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if I used, so we said we had 15 spoons, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I used 5 spoons to get out of bed and get ready for the day, and then I spent 2 spoons scolding myself because I'm running late,
Yeah.
and then I take 3 spoons to get to work because I feel like I'm hitting every light,
Uh-huh.
and then it takes me 6 spoons to write an email that I'm terrified is going to go poorly. And I
Mm.
don't want to have this conversation with this person anyway, but I have to. And then I haven't meal prepped. So then it takes me 7 spoons to try and figure out what in the heck I'm eating. And if I have to go to the store, and then I get home and I'm behind again because I sat in my car reading a book
Oh.
instead of being a responsible adult, getting home and doing dinner. And then it takes me 8 spoons because I'm exhausted at this point, and I force it because stuff still has to get done because of
Mm-hmm.
this perfectionism that I'm living in. If I'm tired, it doesn't matter. You just push harder.
Mm.
But if you'll notice my math,
Mm-hmm.
I'm way past 15 spoons at this point.
Right.
So if I have 15 spoons a day, if I go in the hole the day before, that's taken out of the spoons I have for the next day.
Wow. I
Go ahead.
love that. No, I love that. I'm learning so much. This is awesome. And I hope our listeners are piecing some of this together because I think it's so important to hear this, to hear what it's like from somebody else's point of view. Because we don't know what our world is like until we, step into somebody else's position and learn this. So when it comes to the spoons, I love this analogy. I've never heard the spoon analogy before. I will tell you
It's
this
my
much.
favorite
It's
one.
really, really cool. So if you are at a deficit because you've overused or used all of the spoons the day before, and you're already running on a deficit, so it's like you can have day after day after day after day after day after day of deficits, and you're just dragging yourself
Uh-huh.
from one thing to the next. That sounds so hard. So,
Well,
so, so hard. So
and how
how
I'm just, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go for it. Yeah, I mean, you're going right where I'm headed. I mean, how do you refill the cup? How do you get more spoons? How do you get the spoons back? Give me my spoons
I
back.
need more spoons. I want to kind of clarify this because I'm using vernacular that maybe not be as familiar mainstream.
That's true.
The term that I'm also using that the thing I'm getting at is masking.
Yeah.
As an ADHD or autistic, I've spent my life watching other people trying to mirror my attributes, my behaviors, my conversation like other people, because I don't want people to see that I'm different. I don't want people to see what's going on in my head because it hasn't been safe.
Yeah.
And so part of how I'm using these spoons, this lecturing going on in my head, is the voice telling me I'm not masking well enough. I'm not
Oh.
pretending well enough.
Hmm.
People are going to see I'm different. People aren't going to like me. So there's also probably 2 to 3 spoons every day going into masking, like
Yeah.
trying to pretend. So
Yeah.
that's also, and so what happens when you're at the spoon deficit day after day after day, your ability to mask decreases. Your
Hmm.
ability to pretend to be normal becomes non-existent.
Wow.
And two things happen. Either basically you crash out. Like that's just where you land. And sometimes your crashing out is just having to admit, I don't have what I need to do today, so
Yeah.
I need to just accept, like I need to like consciously put down my perfectionism and just say I can't. I will do the bare minimum, but that is all that I have. I'm not
Uh-huh.
saying yes to extra projects. I'm not doing anything new. Like,
Hmm.
this is what I can do. That's all that I have. Second, you push yourself beyond the deficit and you
Ooh.
crash. And you take a couple of mental health days to try to like, and for me, two things help. So if I notice that I'm getting to a deficit, I
Uh-huh.
need to do something that lights my fire. So
Ooh.
one of the reasons that I've instigated, you and I kind of co-instigated this podcast is
Just to light your fire.
yes, no, it is
Good,
because
good.
I was joking with someone. I'm like, I need to be behind a microphone. And I do, but I like helping people with my voice. That is a big thing for me that just really makes me excited. So I hope this is helpful. If nothing else, it's really helpful for me to understand myself
It's helpful
better.
for me. I'm learning some stuff, so I'm getting something out of it.
So for me, getting behind a microphone, getting in front of a group of people, offering people new information in new ways
Hmm.
is a big tank filler for me.
Yeah.
Um, I have scheduled calls with friends
Uh-huh.
where we're either going to deep dive into deep parts of our psyches that are terrifying, or we'll shoot the breeze. But
Hmm.
so there are certain things I'm learning to schedule into my life that give me some spoons back. And it's a matter of, okay, or I quilt, and so I want to quilt. Or when I'm feeling particularly dissociative, I read a book. And like I power read. We've covered this already, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
when I read a book, it's generally because I'm running from something, and so I read a book. And
Ah.
I can finish a 500-page book in 14 hours.
Oh,
Um, so
if
it's a
only I
power
could
read.
read that fast.
I skip lines sometimes. Don't ask me what the names of any of the main characters are. I just
Hmm.
know that the L is this dude and the A is that person,
I
and
got the gist of the adventure. Leave me alone.
exactly. So there are things that I try to do to refill my cup of spoons,
Hmm.
like and to kind of put things back and chasing dopamine. So the other piece we're kind of
Hmm.
talking about, and not really, um, ADHD is your body's inability to either have or to process, and in some cases, a combination of both dopamine.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we just don't get the same amount of dopamine from things that other people do.
Right.
Dopamine is your happiness hormone
Hmm.
or your motivation hormone. Like that's the thing that helps your body regulate and be like, we are a good person. We can do things. We are happy to do things. That's how I think of dopamine. You could correct me. That could also be serotonin. That could be a cocktail of oxytocin and things. But
Hmm.
for me, dopamine is the juice that lets me do stuff. It's the
Hmm.
self motivator that encourages me to do things. And
Yeah.
so, because my body can't produce its own dopamine or process its own dopamine, I have to go chasing after it other places.
Hmm.
And that is either, and reading is a big dopamine hit for me, or public speaking, or quilting, being creative. Those are all things that my brain loves to do, even if it's hard, because it's a challenge and it's exciting and it's interesting.
Hmm.
Boredom and routine is the enemy of ADHD.
Yeah.
And so to just sit and do the same things doesn't work for me. So
Hmm.
adding excitement in is also kind of that boost to keep me
Hmm.
going and give me back my spoons. If, however, I have pushed too far, ultimate crash out is my option.
It's the only option.
It is the only option. Like you need a Bilbo Baggins day. So
Yeah.
I was scrolling through Facebook and she said, in our house, anybody can call for a Bilbo Baggins day.
Hmm.
And that means that you stay in your comfy clothes, you don't go anywhere, you don't invite anyone into your space, and you eat a lot of food. And
Wow.
whenever someone calls for a Bilbo Baggins day, we don't ask questions. They just
Yeah.
get a Bilbo Baggins day.
Hmm.
And I love that idea. Um, so I'm also big into human design.
Hmm.
And you and I have talked about this, hence
Oh
why
yeah. Yep.
the exemplary humans. Um, but there's four different types, five, I guess.
Hmm.
Generators, manifestors, manifesting generators, projectors, and reflectors. And kind of based on when you were conceived and based on when you were born, design is basically the pattern of your life is kind of written in the stars. So when you see when you were born, you can see that pattern.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not huge into astrology, but I do sometimes see patterns where I'm just like,
Yeah.
that does not feel like a coincidence. Human design is one of those places.
Yeah. It
And
deserves a nod.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's cool to look it up and just see. I'm not going to define my entire life by it, but I do like looking at it and going, huh.
Yeah.
So one of those things is I'm a projector.
Hmm.
And projectors need more rest because we don't produce energy ourselves.
Yeah.
So a generator has a constant motor inside of them all of the time and they can go, 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 go.
Yep.
Manifestors have creative energy that just goes, 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 goes the more that they manifest and they create. Projectors need to work with generators and manifestors because we can't create stuff.
Nope.
We magnify and we reveal things.
Yeah.
And so part of it is just coming to terms with who I am and realizing that if I have a really big, exciting day, I'm going to have to rest.
Yeah.
To refill my tank, rest is required. So that
Hmm.
is an incredibly long answer to say find things that light me up, find things that give me dopamine, and rest are required.
And there again, we can trace back to and give a nod to the cocktail once again. It's these things are going to be different for everybody based upon likes and dislikes and things. The important part is to make sure that we're doing something or explore, whatever it takes in order to, get back a few more spoons or refill ourselves a little bit. And that's going to be something totally and completely different for every single person. And it may be even situational too. It
Mhm.
may be at one point in time in your life, going and hiking in the mountains, for example, would be something to get back some of those spoons. And maybe that doesn't quite work anymore due to the circumstances or situation, and you have to find something else. Now, that being said, there's also plenty of unhealthy ways that this can pop up and manifest. And I think they're important to point out because some people may be sitting there, playing hours and hours and hours on end of Candy Crush, and
Mm.
and yeah, that can be a way that we are numbing or hiding or even stuffing some of that down. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
I cannot handle, I cannot take, I cannot do anymore. And so I have to hide. So almost like, reading the book. And I'm not saying you reading the book is a
Oh
bad
no,
way to
we've already
approach.
established sometimes it is. We're just going to be honest here. We're going to own it. Sometimes reading the book is all of those things.
There you go. Yeah, so there again, if it's used to kind of avoid rather than to fill, that can be a key indicator. So bringing some self-awareness to it and really looking at ourselves and saying, and this goes for both neurotypical and neurodivergent, we really have to sit back and ask ourselves, what is filling the old tank up? And what do we need to do? And we need to keep doing. We need to provide ways and opportunities and things in there. So and they could be simple. Let me give you an example of a simple one for me. I have a huge, obscenely huge collection of Disney mugs. And for those of you that know me as an individual, you know I am a Disney fan, and in so many different ways. And so one of the things that I think is interesting is that I have these mugs, and unfortunately, those of you on the
It's a very cute
listening
up
to
mug.
this, there you go, yeah, a little cute up mug that I'm showing, and it says the sky is the limit on the other side there. Um, and so one of the things that's interesting about this is every single week I pull one of these things out, it fills my cup, literally and figuratively.
Nice pun
It
there. I
makes
like it.
it makes me happy. Even though I have them on display and I can see them there throughout my office and bedroom and other places and stuff like that throughout the house, and I see them all the time, to get it out and to use it and to experience it again brings me joy and happiness. And it's those little things that can make us excited and fill us with some more spoons to get through the day. But there again, I will also own one, a bad one for me. I use food, right,
Mhm.
as as a source of being able to help me fill my tank and my get some of those spoons back because oh, the chocolate, right? Chocolate can taste so
Sugar is a
good.
fantastic source of
Oh,
short-term dopamine.
yes, yes. And there's a whole wide variety of different things there that we could dive into, but we won't. Just to say that there are some positive ways of filling us up, and there are some not so positive ways, and I think that's important for us to self-discover. It's up to us to look at those things and be able to discover what they are and put them incrementally, like these mugs, coffee mugs, through our lives to help us with that, to get us through the next day, to help us get excited about, oh, hey, I'm going to have a drink in this one this time, and I get to choose this one this next time, and everything. And I actually do. I go through them. I have more, by the way, than 50 some odd mugs. I started out collecting one, so I had one per week, and
Uh-huh.
somehow that just got out of hand over the years. But it's really cool because then I can, pick and choose, and some I don't even get out. Some they just, rest on the shelf and everything, and that's okay too. But I get out some of my favorites and I use them and I enjoy them. And that's the important part, is that attitude of enjoying what it is you get out and do. Whether that's going for a walk, whether that's going to a movie, whether that's going to spend time with friends or staying home for the evening. How are you, experiencing that moment will help you fill the cup or obtain a few extra spoons.
Mhm. Well,
And we need it.
and I think the takeaway for me is know yourself. That's really what
Yeah.
all of this, because if none of this rang true for you, please then just take away know yourself. Because
Yeah.
neurotypicals get tired too. Regulated people still get tired, still get bored, stuff still happens.
Hmm.
So wherever you land on this spectrum of things, knowing yourself matters.
Yeah.
What refills your tank? What do you care about? What do you love? What drives you nuts?
Yeah.
What drains your energy? What fills your energy?
Hmm.
Learn about yourself. That is the very biggest lesson I have taken from my healing journey
Hmm.
is my life is not going to stop lifing. It's just not.
No.
That's what I wished.
No
That's what I
pause
thought.
button.
Yeah, if I could get out of this situation, if I could find more supportive people, if I could move away and
Mm,
not have to deal with these things, my life would be easier. It's not. Life still lifes. You still lose jobs. You run into what feels like incredibly unfair coworkers.
yeah.
You get disappointed. You find out you're not Superman and you don't have the ability to do everything.
Hmm.
Life won't stop being life, but the more that you support yourself, the more you come to know yourself, the more that you are patient with yourself, the more you do things to fill your cup and to collect your spoons,
Hmm.
the greater you increase your ability to face life.
Yeah.
You shift from surviving, you move to thriving,
Hmm.
and you become more capable. You have greater capacity to stay regulated.
Hmm.
And that's ultimately what we're talking about. That's why I think I want to term the coin the phrase instead of neurotypical and neurodivergent. I really just want to do more regulated and less regulated.
Yeah.
And sometimes our brains are more set up for emotion regulation and reactivity versus
Hmm.
or response, and sometimes our brains aren't.
Yeah.
And that's from a variety of factors. And really, our hope and our goal is how do you support yourself to regulate yourself to be the person you want to be
Yeah.
and not driven by what's going on in your mind. So I'm going to ask you, Spencer, this is sort of our final thing.
Oh, wow.
If you would wrap up our too long didn't listen for this episode, the past two episodes, and the ball will be in your court whether we revisit this again immediately or whether we want to let this rest. So,
Hmm.
dear listeners, if you want more of this, now is your time to reach
Hmm.
out to us, to leave comments, to say we want more so that we can build it in.
Yeah.
We will revisit this. This is obviously not done yet,
Oh, no.
but maybe it's time for some variety. We're chasing this dopamine, people. Gotta so either we're chasing brand new dopamine, but it's up to you guys. So let us know, and it's also up to Spencer a little bit to see where we read.
Oh,
But
boy.
if you will take us away with a too long didn't listen.
Well, if it was too long, you didn't listen. Some of the highlights and things is that I guess some of the takeaways for me, I would say is that neurodivergent is something to where there are different spoons that we need to piece together. We need to have those on a regular basis. We need to listen to ourselves. We need to bring some self-awareness to us. And we need to learn what works best for us. We're not all just alike. We're different. We have nuances. And that's what makes each of us so neat and special and unique. And we'll get into that in just a minute. But anyway, um, but it's important to keep in mind that we've got not only the neurodivergent side of things, but also the neurotypical side of things where there are some similarities. All of us need to fill up the cup. All of us need to have spoons in order to function in a day. All of us need to bring some self awareness to know how to do that and what works and what works well for us and how important it is to keep that on track. Yes, I would love to talk more about this because I think this is huge and this is fascinating stuff. We'll continue to revisit it, like Allison said. But it's important to keep in mind that we have so many other things to talk about too, that we can't just land on this forever and a day. But I think it's a topic that I think people are living with, but hardly
Mhm.
anybody's really talking about it and giving point blank examples like we did today so that you as a listener can hear for yourself that that is what's going on and that is what is happening. So to finish up for today, remember, as I said before, you're made up of a whole bunch of nuances. You are unique. You are who you are, and you are special just the way you are because of the things that you do and like and dislike and all these different things wrapped in one. You are a very complex person and very simple all at the same time. But at the end of the day, you are who you are. And we wouldn't have you any other way. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate you listening. We hope you come back and visit us on the next podcast. and we'll bring some more awareness to some of these things that we're all trying to work through, that we're all trying to deal with. And thanks for being on this journey with each and every one of us.
Thank you so much for joining us. We are wrapping up for tonight, and we are excited to have you back with us. Please remember, if you want more information, please reach out. Please ask your questions. Please make your requests. We're always happy to talk, and we're so grateful to share this time with you. This is a blast for us to talk about. I know that I'm laughing and I'm learning, and we hope that it serves, and we want to serve the best that we can. So thank you for joining us, your unique selves, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys. Now, our disclaimer for this episode: we are not your therapist. We are not your medical provider. We are here to give information and things for you to think about, but please seek your medical professionals if you are in need of support.